Guys, video game collecting is cheap. Welcome back to Collective Perspective. This is episode 99. We're talking about 99 games under $99. Really, it's under $100. You're going to see a couple here that are about $99.
In 99 cents.
I want to talk about some cheap games today, Craig. This was actually, I have to give a shout out to YouTube user Daily Beating, who suggested this for our 100th episode. It was good, but it wasn't quite good enough for episode 100, so we're doing it for 99.
Daily Beating rings a bell.
So normally we do things taking turns. Craig and I have decided that I'm going to go first for 49 games, and then Craig's going to go for 50 games. And I'll be honest, Craig took all of the easy games first. He's got the... Well, I guess I won't spoil them already, but my list was freaking hard. And there were some games I didn't want to include that I ended up including. And not many, but I think everything on this list is almost objectively collectible.
And I didn't take all the easy ones. We can make a list twice this size easy. I took almost zero research making my list. I think of my 50 games, I think like 40 of them I just typed out. Like, there's so many good games that are super cheap. The thing that made it harder is that we did one game per franchise.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what, spin-offs not included. But, it's like there's only one mainline Mario game on here. There's only one mainline Zelda game on here. Stuff like that. If we didn't limit ourselves like that, then this could be double, triple the size. But we thought it'd be more interesting to provide a list of 99 games of pretty much, all uniquely their own. So I had a lot of fun making this list, though.
Yeah, and this is about to be a great video, so sit down, and I hope you're excited. But I think that I don't have anything else to preface this with. I think that I've seen yours, and I've gotten some inspiration from them, and Craig's seen mine, but we haven't really thought too hard on each of them. But we're going to tell you the CIB price charting value, and in some cases we'll even tell you the sealed value if it is around $100 as well. And yeah, this is all consoles. This is all genres, retro, modern. It's mostly retro, depending on your definition of retro. But there's a few PS4, PS5 games in here, but not many. Mm-hmm. Let's get started.
Oh, and we will be judging one another if we think that we have a pick that's debatable on if it's collectible or not.
Please, we want to hear your comments, and the big thing here was, like Craig said, one per franchise. So there's only one Mario game in here. There's only one. I'm not going to spoil everything. There's only one of everything, and that was very difficult. And you might say, "Oh, you forgot about this." Please drop that in the comments, but also be aware that we probably didn't forget it. We just didn't. We just didn't fit our rule set, or maybe we did forget it. I don't know. Drop everything in the comments. Let's get started.
Well, before we start, should we give our usual explanation of what we consider collectible for those that are new?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so usually we don't consider... obviously, value is an aspect of it, but to us, it's more about, cultural significance and impact on gaming as a whole. So it's like a game could be $10 and it could be more collectible than a game that is, a random game on the NES that's worth $400 because it didn't have any real impact. And it's just, one of the hidden gems or desirable or whatever. And, rarity is also something that people debate on as well. To us, rarity means that, it's kind of on a spectrum, but, if there's 100 copies of something on eBay, it's probably not going to be something we think is rare in our eyes. If there's 10 copies on eBay, probably more in the uncommon range, and if there's, a handful of copies on eBay, then it's probably, in getting into the rare category. So all this stuff is just subjective, but me and Christian we're pretty eye to eye on what we consider to be, rare/collectible, however you want to define it.
You're very well spoken, my friend. That was beautiful.
I feel like we've done that quite a few times now, but You never know when new people are stopping by. So, and if you're new, hello.
Number one, we're talking about a very modern game. Splatoon on the Wii U came out in 2015, 2016. We've talked about this on our Wii U collectible games episode, but like I think this was the first one I wrote on my list. So I think that it's a very collectible and like undervalued game right now. I think that I mean I would love to own a sealed copy. Real quick, the prices, it's $9 CIB, it's $28 sealed. I don't know. So before we even get into all of this, like I don't know about variants, and I know that I mean, yes, we know a lot about variants on this show, but specifically these are price charting values, and so I don't know if Splatoon has any variants, but if it does, you're gonna want like the first print if you're getting like a sealed copy, and I can't guarantee that the sealed first print is $28. Um, it probably is because who the heck cares about Splatoon on the Wii U?
That's what I was
in
gonna say. Nobody cares about Wii U variants except for the handful of people that care about like the back of the Breath of the Wild box.
Yeah,
It's a very small market of people that care about Wii U variants.
but that will apply to the rest of this list. That will be more applicable. Yeah, Splatoon
Yeah.
on Wii U. You got to get this game if you don't have it for freaking $9. It's it still has. You know, we haven't had a new Splatoon game in a few years, but I think that it is a Nintendo franchise that is hot and has been shown to be very popular across two consoles now, and they're making a spin-off game right now. I think it's definitely got some legs. You know, this isn't like ARMS. This isn't like some stupid game that they made and haven't made any other sequels of. This is, I think this is going to be a long-running franchise for them.
Yeah, and the first the first game of the series is on a dead console that didn't do well, so potentially in the future, this is one that I could see rising in value just because of they're never gonna port Splatoon 1. Maybe in another 10 years we'll get Splatoon 1 remastered, but I highly doubt it, to be honest. So
Yeah, I think that this is actually a good one to get sealed. Like now, like just thinking about it with you, I think that maybe a sealed copy or even two, like you might be able to flip this for a lot of money down the road. I have no idea. Obviously, we're just speculating here, but I think that Splatoon has potential.
yeah, and also no investing advice from us. Nothing we say, nothing we say is super in depth with that because neither of us collect to resell or grade our games or anything like that. But if you do grade games, seems like an obvious choice.
Agreed. Let's talk about a Game Boy Color game. We go from one bad console to the next.
Whoa.
I love the Wii U. SpongeBob SquarePants: The Legend of the Lost Spatula. Another one I've talked about on this show a lot. I think I got my copy a year or two ago. It's got a poster. You're going to want to see that bad boy when you purchase your copy. Also, didn't mention, we're doing no loose games on this list.
Oh yes, all CIB.
$48 for a CIB copy. That is, on average. Cardboard on price charting always varies. But this is the first SpongeBob game. Is the only reason it makes this list. And tell me how questionable you think this one might be.
I feel like it teeters between valid choice and not valid choice because I feel like this isn't a game that anybody really cares about, but it is the very first game for one of the biggest IP of all time. So I think you could make the argument there. I just think that it's just a funny inclusion. That's all.
Yeah,
but it's not an invalid it's not invalid to include it on this list. So I won't give you too much flack for this one.
Yeah, I could see this one not being a good collectible for everyone, but I could see like you replacing this with like Battle for the Bikini Bottom was like the first one that really I think exploded, and was like incredible. I think this one is only on here because it's the first. Uncharted Drake's Fortune on PS3 is a $6 video game still in the great year 2026, guys. And I didn't include the sealed price because I feel like this is one where there is going to be a bunch of variants and price charting's probably wrong. And if I had to guess, a sealed first print Uncharted Drake's Fortune is not under $100, if I had to guess.
Yeah. I feel like you probably can't even find one, actually.
Yeah.
Because no one was buying this game and keeping it closed. And this game sold 1 million bajillion copies, which is why it's so cheap, but probably the most, top 3 most notable PlayStation franchises of all time. So
It got a movie, for good or for bad. It got a movie, and it's got sequels. It's got a spin-off or two. It's Uncharted. You know, it's not the best game in the franchise objectively. I think everyone loves two. I don't care what you love. I've only played the first one and it wasn't great, but this is the
Same
one
here.
that started it. And for
I
six
actually
dollars,
didn't
go ahead.
enjoy Uncharted 1 so much that I didn't play the other ones, and I've had friends yell at me for years to play the other ones, and I'm like, eh.
Yeah, one wasn't great, especially because I had played the modern Tomb Raider trilogy already, which was like it was Uncharted on steroids, right? It was like, okay, well, this game isn't great. But yeah, I've heard two and three are incredible games. The other game you think of when you think of PlayStation 3 is The Last of Us. $11.50, guys. What are we doing out here? The most collectible games on the planet are so cheap. Um, that's obviously not entirely true, but yeah, this not the way to play it. It's definitely the way to own it. Find out what the first print is and get yourself a beautiful CIB Black Label The Last of Us. I don't think I need to say anything else about it.
Now, this one speaks for itself for sure.
Grand Theft Auto, I'm not going with one for this one. I think GTA 3 is the one to have. If I were to have 10 PS2 games on my shelf and was like, I only want 10 of the most collectible PS2 games ever made, I gotta go GTA 3. This game changed the game, and not just for Grand Theft Auto, not just for Rockstar Games. This changed the game for like 3D open world adventures as we know them today. And the fact that it's $11 is really insane. This is this should be on everybody's shelf.
Yeah, and it's everybody loves a good insert. This game comes with a bunch of inserts. Comes with a map of the city, all that good stuff. So as a full package collectible video game, it's got it all. It's a game that people love. It's a PS2 game, which is one of the most favored consoles of all time. Has all those beautiful inserts. Changed the way that video games were made forever. So it's a big one.
Yeah, good call on the inserts. Price chart will tell you this game's $20 sealed. I think that there's like some GTA trilogy or something that makes this game easy to get sealed. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I believe that they say not for resale or something on the back of them too, so you're usually able to tell. There's some sort of indicator. I don't remember exactly what though.
Rockstar Games also did Red Dead Redemption. We're skipping Red Dead Revolver. It's barely even the same series. Red Dead Redemption is another one that really changed the way storytelling was done in video games, and expanded upon what GTA was already doing. And it's the biggest Western game. I know that's probably not something that speaks to its collectability, but it is like the Western game. You've got your Call of Juarez games. You've got I actually can't even name another one. That's it. Like the Western the Western storytelling genre in video games is very empty, and Red Dead Redemption is filling that void for sure. But yeah, this game, the sequel, fantastic games. They both won an unbelievable amount of awards. They are still played to this day. People are making mods, and people are obsessed with these games, and rightfully so. $11.50 for this freaking game.
And you put the 360 version specifically?
Yeah, I didn't feel like. I didn't know how we were going to do it on this Excel sheet, especially because we've got the CIB totals over there. But you can do PS3 or 360 for this one.
I was curious because we didn't really talk about it. I was deliberate if it was a multi-platform on which platform I chose. So I'm not sure if you were or not.
Yeah, for sure I was, but not on all of them. I'll call it out. Echo the Dolphin. So I had a last minute change of I had Rayman in here. It turns out the jewel case long box is over $100 for a Black Label, first print Rayman, and this was the one game where I really just did not want. I didn't. Echo the Dolphin, dude. Who even knows what Echo is anymore? If I go up to any person on the street and say, like, do you know this dolphin? Have you ever heard of this video game? Like, the answer is 100% no.
Then why is it on your list?
Because I was in a rush. This was the last game. I had to fill a spot.
Well, I guess
Um,
you could make the argument this is a Genesis staple, right? Obviously it resonated with people because it got multiple sequels on multiple consoles. Recently, the trademark for Echo was, revitalized, so we're going to be getting something Echo possibly in the future. So it might have some relevance again as time goes on. But yeah, this one's a little bit more questionable.
I like that you're defending my choice.
I'm trying, trying to help you out.
A CIB copy that I still don't have after years of saying I'm going to buy it. $25 on the Genesis. So
It's also a very difficult video game.
yeah, I want to play it too. It seems bad.
It's so funny. So shameless plug on my show, Generations Behind. We did an episode where we did a Genesis grab bag where we all chose different games for each other to play on the Genesis for Nintendo Online. And one of the games I was chosen for me was Echo the Dolphin, and I played it for probably about an hour and a half, and I was like, man, I must be making some progress, right? So I went to look at a long play on YouTube to see how far along I was, and it was 4 minutes into the long play. I was like, this game is so confusing. It's so easy to get lost. It is something else, and it's an experience.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I don't know. It seems like that's the type of game you need the manual for sure. Because I'm pretty sure I've played it for 5 minutes, and they throw you in, and there's no instructions. It's just
No,
like
you don't know what to do. You don't know where to go.
Yeah,
It's rough.
Jak and Daxter #1, the precursor legacy on the PS2. When I think PS2, I think Jak and Daxter. I think Ratchet and Clank. I think of Sly Cooper. I don't think Sly Cooper has the legs. I think if Ratchet is up here and Sly is down here, I think Jak is somewhere in the middle in terms of just popularity and maybe importance. I don't know. I don't have anything to back that up. That's my vibe with Jak and Daxter.
Just a vibe. I will say, I think that this game was very inspirational on other video games in terms of the quality of the animation. The way that everybody moves, especially in cutscenes in these games, are phenomenal looking, especially first time. So I think that the tech used for the rigging of the animations was something that definitely carried over to, inspire other devs to either kind of copy the way they were making it or get heavily inspired and working on that part, the animation parts of their game in a similar way to make it look as good as Jak and Daxter.
That's one of those series I would like to check out for sure.
1 and 2 are excellent. I never played any of the other ones though, but I can confirm 1 and 2 are great.
$15, $32 sealed apparently. That's price charting once again. Not sure how accurate that is.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of greatest hits thrown in on that one.
Yeah, this is another one where it's it kind of has the Echo the Dolphin effect where it's this is a staple on this console. It's an exclusive, and it did keep going for a little bit, just a little bit, but it's the type of thing that if it did get revitalized, I think it would blow up. It's basically a mascot platformer, and people are obsessed with those. People probably beg on Twitter for a Jak and Daxter sequel at this point.
And really, Naughty Dog is just one of those developers. Pretty much everything they touch is kind of gold in the public eye. You could probably put almost any Naughty Dog game on this list, and you could probably make an argument for it.
Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, $57 CIB. It's kind of surprising. I know it sold about 1 billion copies in North America alone. This was one of my first 5 Super Nintendo games, because my dad and his brothers would play the game when I was a youngster, and I obviously inherited that Super Nintendo. But yeah, very what am I going to tell y'all how good Street Fighter 2 is? This is an arcade game, and that's the way to own it, but we are video game collectors, not arcade collectors. So this is the first release, even before the Genesis. This is the one to have, I would say, if you're going to go for historical importance. The Super Nintendo version would be the one to have. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I feel like Mortal Kombat's considered superior on the Genesis, and then Street Fighter's considered superior on the Super Nintendo. And they were kind of rivals against each other as a video game, opposed to the the consoles being rivals with each other. So it's just an interesting note, because I don't. Looking ahead, it doesn't look like you have Mortal Kombat on Super Nintendo. So
No.
it's interesting because it's like I would have thought of Street Fighter for the Super Nintendo before I would have thought of Mortal Kombat for the Super Nintendo if I was going to put a fighting game on the list.
Yeah. What about Rare's game? You're not gonna put
Killer Instinct?
man, Killer Instinct on your list? That's
I almost
super
put it on my
collectible.
list actually, but I was like, no, actually,
You would have got flack for that one from me.
fair enough.
I would love to tell you to get Call of Duty 1 on PC. I doubt a big box of that game is under $100, and I did not put in the research to find out, and we are not trusting price charting on that. So we're going with the next best thing, which is absolutely under $100. Under $10, you can get yourself Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare on the Xbox 360. This is another one where you can do 360 or PS3. Actually, I would say 360 on in this one solely because this is, I mean, partially because it's an American-made game, right? Like Activision, but also because like the 360 kind of dominated this console era, this generation.
Yeah, at least for the first half.
And whatever you decide to purchase it on, I think it's very collectible. It's $6.50 on 360, and yeah, this game changed how we know first-person shooters, online gaming. This is a huge deal. I always thought Modern Warfare 2 was kind of the thing, but that's because I'm 30 years old and I was just a few years too young to be playing Call of Duty 4. So I think that the first Modern Warfare is actually the thing.
And the only reason I would disagree with this is because I actually think that I would have picked Black Ops if I was going to go with the Call of Duty, but I don't think that Modern Warfare is a bad choice either.
Why would you choose Black Ops?
I feel like that's just the one that's had the the one that people look back on the most fondly. Like most people seem to, if they pick a favorite, it seems like they usually go with Black Ops or Black Ops 2 in terms of like public consciousness. But people also love Modern Warfare, so. And I think if you were to go based off of sales numbers, I think Modern Warfare probably sold more. So
I think I guess it probably varies by just like your atmosphere, because I feel like Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 are applicable to everything you just said, at least in
fair
my
enough.
upbringing. BioShock, another 360 staple. This one I am going to say buy it on 360 because it was exclusive to 360 at first, and maybe PC also, or maybe not, but for sure 360. It was not. It's $9.66 in the great 2026. This is BioShock. This is a game that we may never see brought back. I don't know what the heck is the status of BioShock, but this game probably a top 10 seller, if not top 15 or 20. Like, this was a huge not first party, but Bethesda game, right? This is Bethesda? This is not Bethesda.
No.
It doesn't matter. This is a huge game. Everybody loved this game. Very important game. And I would say it heavily inspired a lot of other single player games going forward, not just in the 360 era, but going forward in general. Craig's gonna check who developed this freaking game for us.
Irrational is the name. I couldn't remember. Talk about people like famous game creators. That's Ken Levine's baby. He's one of the few developers that like the average gamer may or may not know by name, right? In terms of like Western people, a lot of people know Shigeru Miyamoto and Nobuo Uematsu and all these other different people. But I feel like, when it comes to Western devs, a lot of times people don't know them by name, but a lot of people know Ken Levine. And this was, kind of like his baby from his studio and this, that, the other. So a lot of cultural significance. And also the 360 version, first print, came with a slipcover, which is always fun. You don't get a lot of games with slipcovers.
That is a good call. I think mine does not have that, and I think we've talked about this before.
Fake collector.
So you probably spent another $4 to get yourself one. So we're talking $15 for a beautiful slipcover first print BioShock. I think you guys should totally make that happen.
Yes, you should.
This one's cool. WWF SmackDown. This one was a late add to my list because I was desperate. But the I was looking at like best selling franchises of all time, and WWE or WWF, whatever came later, whatever we call it today, the 2K series is obviously huge and comes out every single year, and 2K is the publisher and everything. This is the same series. It's WWF SmackDown before they called it the 2K series, and so this was a PS1 release from like 2000, I think, maybe 1999, and it's $15. And it's got The Rock on the cover, if I remember correctly. It's like one of the many wrestling games that you saw on the N64 and the PlayStation in this era. I never would have known that any of them like were like, I don't know, the same series as today's 2K franchise. And 2K was not around to publish this game back in the day. I mean, I don't know if 2K was around, but they didn't publish this game. They inherited it from, I believe, THQ in like the mid 2010s or something. So this game came. So it's not technically like a 2K games game, but it is the exact same series before it was inherited, and I think for that reason, it's pretty cool and kind of collectible.
So this would technically be the first game in this franchise, then.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out. Good choice.
Craig's good with it. Let's do Ratchet and Clank. Get you a Black Label Ratchet and Clank on the PS2, $16. A few years ago, I realized I had some greatest hits garbage for this game, and I fixed that. And something that I realized, this was 5 years ago probably, this game was like surprisingly difficult to get like a CIB clean Black Label. Like the copies were like the price went up quite a bit is what I'm trying to say. So I imagine $16 for a Black Label is probably not super accurate on price charting, but like you have to kind of dig for a while if you're going to sort by lowest and like skip a lot of greatest hits and skip a lot of incomplete Black Label copies. I would imagine you're probably looking at $25, $30, but absolutely worth it. A sealed copy on price charting is apparently only $85. Again, I don't believe that.
No, this is definitely a top tier staple on the PS2, so absolutely no notes.
Yeah, and more than like Jak and Daxter, this one has had a lot of sequels on a lot of consoles now. It's still of relevance. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah, it is worth noting this is really one of the only Sony franchises that kind of never went away. It's like a lot of a Sony IP comes and goes. Like they'll get a handful of entries and then they'll kind of disappear. Ratchet and Clank and God of War are the only two I could think of that have just kind of regularly been going since the PS2 era. Everything else has stopped at some point, so kind of interesting.
Yeah. Forza Motorsport, we got our first Xbox game. Yep, original Xbox. Forza Motorsport is a $6 video game. This is probably the cheapest game on the freaking list. This is just a car game, right? You see a car on the cover and people are like, okay, that's worthless, and it's on Xbox. Let's even charge less for it, right? This is it's just like bottom of the barrel in terms of resale value.
You thought sports games were worthless. Try racing games.
I think that this is absolutely collectible. This has become, I don't know how popular Forza was in the 2000s. I think it was popular enough to get a couple sequels back in the day, but like Forza Horizon wouldn't come out until the 360. And I guess for those that don't know, Forza Motorsport is the simulation type game. I think they made this to kind of combat with Gran Turismo on the PlayStation, and then Forza Horizon is like open world driving and a lot more arcadey and a lot less simulation-y. And so this Forza Motorsport was the first Forza period, and would obviously later branch out into Forza Horizon and a ton of sequels on both sides there. And $6 you can get this. I don't know why you haven't gone to eBay on your app and picked it up since I've been talking. You should go buy this. Sealed is apparently $35.
Crazy cheap.
That could be Platinum Hits. I don't even know if that game got a Platinum Hits.
I feel like it must have, but
probably a game you already own is Wii Sports. Probably a game you already own is Wii Sports with a big tear on the front because you were so excited to play bowling with your family that you just took that clear sticker right off the front cover when you were about 15 years old. um, yeah, this is something that you should probably upgrade in your collection. Believe it or not, Wii Sports is like $30 to $40 these days. Price charting says 31. This is like such a ridiculous thing that you would never have expected ever to be more than $10, because it's the greatest selling console almost of all time, and everyone was obviously packaged with it, so it's crazy. But yeah, this is one of the most collectible video games on this list, I would say, and you should get yourself a cleaner copy. I should get myself a cleaner copy. I think mine's a little torn up. It's got some Sharpie on it too, but yeah, apparently a sealed copy is only $47. You don't need a sealed copy; just get a CIV.
Nah, yeah, and it's funny that it, like you're saying, that it's worth more than you would think, but it also makes sense because everybody hauled off their Wii at some point and sold all the games to GameStop, and now that it's 20 years old, people want to get the Wii again, and what game are they going to want to get with it? Probably want to get Wii Sports, Mario Galaxy, all those. So the even though there's a bajillion copies floating out there in the world, it's also heavily in demand. So
I think the Wii has got to be the best value in gaming in 2026, and maybe like for the last 15 years. Like, it's just so cheap. You can play GameCube and Wii on it, and then you can freaking homebrew it out. It's the easiest console to mod probably of all the consoles. Like, Wii Sports, I mean, Wii is a great thing to have if you don't have anything else to play. WarioWare, the first one on GBA. Mega Micro Games. This game is $91. This one barely making the cut here, and the highest one we've talked about so far. Obviously, a really important. I don't know. I mean, it's the first game in the series.
Is it important?
It's not super important. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
This is one of the ones I thought looked most questionable on your list, to be honest.
I think it only makes it on here for me because it is the first in the series, and it is relevant. They've probably made 10 of them total now, and that's about. I'm not even gonna try to fight you too much. You're right. This is not a super collectible series.
No, it's a spin-off series for a Mario side character.
A spin-off of a spin-off, yeah.
Yes, I mean, trust me, I love WarioWare more than your average gamer. I adore those games. I played through many of them many times, but I do not know if I think that it is a collectible game.
It's cardboard, it's Nintendo, just trying anything to balance it out here. It's got some things going for it, but
the cop-out answer is Nintendo cardboard. Anything Nintendo cardboard's collectible.
The historical importance is missing on that one. I agree. Daily Beating just turned the video off. Let's go to Nintendogs on the Nintendo DS. Tell me
I thought it was funny that you didn't put which Nintendogs. You just put Nintendogs.
No, I'll explain. Tell me, did you play Nintendogs?
Of course I did. I got it for my birthday as a child in a blister pack from Costco, and it came with Nintendogs Chihuahua version and Super Mario 64 DS.
Was the console in that blister pack?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very Costco.
Very Costco.
I had Nintendogs Lab and Friends is what I had. And
yeah, the Labo edition is what you were going to say.
Yeah, this is iconic for anyone that's 30 years or younger, right? Like, this is a huge deal from the 2000s, and it's $16. Basically, I didn't want to write the full name, I guess, or I guess what I didn't want to do was pick one because 3 of them all launched on the same day.
Yeah, and you could really just take your pick.
You might as well get them all because they're so dang cheap. But yeah, I would say take your pick on which one you want on the shelf if you're only going to have one. And I didn't write down what the first 3 to release were, but it might have been Chihuahua and Friends and Lab and Friends and some other third thing.
Yeah, I think it was like Golden Retriever or something like that. There was definitely 3 versions, though. You're correct.
And a fun fact for you: there's some Japanese exclusive ones, at least one. I know they had Shiba Inu and friends over there, and you can get a corgi.
Yeah, and we got other versions here, but not at launch. Like later on, we got like Labrador and friends, and then I think there was one that was just called like Best Friends, where it had I think like I don't know if it had all the dogs or what, but there I think there's at least like 5 or 6 versions we got in North America, so
Right.
quite a lot.
$16 CIB, 34 sealed. If that's true, that's crazy. I could see that
That
being
does seem
true.
crazy. Yeah, because they printed these games to oblivion.
Yeah.
There's probably pallets and pallets of these in warehouses still.
We got our first and only Master System game, and that's only because Master System games are so expensive. Otherwise, they'd all be on this list, right, Craig?
That's true. It's the most collectible console of all time.
I think Master System is cool. I think it's ugly on the shelf, and I think if there was any mascot for this console, it's gonna be Alex Kidd. And I think there's like 22 games for Alex Kidd on the freaking console, but Alex Kidd in Miracle World is the first one. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna confidently say that, and it's $59 for a CIB. I think that I want this on the shelf, and I think that this dude was almost the mascot for Sega. This is like pre-Sonic. He's kind of a big deal. I think he's more of a big deal outside of America, where the Master System was more of a big deal. But I think it's worth owning. I think that he is a good piece for the collection if you care about historical importance.
I'm just gonna buy a bunch of graph paper and put it along the insides of my shelves and pretend I have a Master System set.
What do you think about this pick?
I think that we could have made a list of 1,000 games and maybe not included a Master System game on there. But if you're gonna put a Master System game, Alex Kidd's probably the right answer.
I would take Alex Kidd over Echo the Dolphin on the Genesis. That's all I'm saying.
Me too. So I'll give you this one.
All right, I need your opinion on this one, but we got Fallout 3, Xbox 360. It's $8.50. I think that this is... Well, I know that this is the first one that came out when Bethesda kind of took over, right? So you had Fallout 1 and 2, and then you had that weird one on PS2, and then there was this. And this changed the game, this changed the series, and this is what the series is pretty much known for, I think. And now there's a TV show. I'd say Fallout is bigger than ever right this moment. Mm-hmm. But specifically, I didn't know, like, is Fallout 3 the one to put on this list, or should we have New Vegas on here? What do you think?
I think that it would be this. You wouldn't have New Vegas without Fallout 3 because it was built off of Fallout 3. I think that probably the fan favorite would be New Vegas, but I think in terms of like historical relevance, the way that it helped project Bethesda even more than they already were, it brought this series back from the dead essentially. After its first mainline entry, it was I think 2000, 1999, somewhere around there. There's a lot of revisionist history now where people are like Fallout 3 bad actually, but that's definitely a recency, angry Twitter monger, kind of rage baiting thing. Fallout 3 is a very beloved game, and the 360 version in particular is a version that most people played, so I think 360 is a good call. But yeah, I think if you were going to put a Fallout game under $100, because obviously the PC versions of 1 and 2 are crazy expensive, 3 is going to be the right pick. So
cool. Apparently it's $47 new. That's probably take it with a grain of salt. I'm just gonna stop saying that. All right, if I'm not confident, I don't know. I say it on every freaking game at this point. But yeah, take price charting with a grain of salt.
You could just say that for the entire video as a whole. Just take it. It's all price charting, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's a really collectible game, I think, especially after hearing you say all of that. Gears of War on the Xbox 360. This is, I don't know when it came to PC or if it ever came to PC before modern day, but for sure 360 is the way to go for this one. This game, when you think of that era where everything was brown, gray, and ugly, this is the game where everything was it was
Hell
defined
yeah.
that.
You
Um,
want that piss filter on your on your shooters? That's Gears of War.
Gears of War to me doesn't feel like a super important series at this point, and I know it is. It was the cover shooter, and it was super popular on 360. I think just like the last 10 years, it's just not a very popular series. I wasn't a big fan of five. There was been a long time since five came out, and we're finally getting a new game. I don't know. I think it's also worth noting this game has been remade twice now, or remastered, or whatever. And it's also like the second. It's under Halo for like Xbox mascot, right? Like this is one of their only games, and for $7, I think it should be on your shelf.
Agreed.
Pikmin on the GameCube is somehow $47, and we talked about WarioWare. I don't know how collectible Pikmin is. It's a first party. It's the first game in a first party Nintendo franchise, and that's why it makes this list. I don't know if this game did anything to advance the hobby or the industry or whatever, but it's a Miyamoto game, and it's the first
And it's
one.
obviously Miyamoto's like favorite child. Like he seems
Yeah.
to adore his Pikmin more than he adores his Mario. So, but yeah, I definitely think Pikmin makes a list. Pikmin is very beloved. They've done. It's like if there's a Nintendo cameo in anything now, it's like Pikmin is just thrown in there. Nintendo wants Pikmin to be relevant, and they do their best to keep it relevant. Every Pikmin game is pretty much highly regarded, and it's the first entry in the series. So I think that this is definitely a undisputed collectible game.
I didn't check the graph, but I imagine this is a good time to buy this, considering it's on Switch now. This game has probably dropped a lot.
I actually think that this has gone up a little bit. I thought it was cheaper, but I could be remembering wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to check. Celeste on the Switch. This is an incredibly important indie game, I believe. It's, Game of the Year contender, if not winner that year. It was a huge game, available on all consoles, but specifically the Switch one is going to be the one to get. Actually, I don't know if they made a physical on other platforms.
PS4 they did.
Okay. Definitely, Nintendo always going to be the one to get in terms of collectability in the modern day, so I'm going to say get the Switch copy. It was available from Limited Run and later on Fangamer. Right now it's going to cost you about $50 CIB, and it's going to cost you about $50 new, so pick your poison.
Pretty crazy.
It's also worth noting that if you want to spend more money, there's some copy that has a freaking giant strawberry plush. I'm not even sure if that game, if that was a physical or a digital copy of the game?
I'm pretty sure there's a digital code in there, so I don't know if I would suggest that one.
Yeah. Celeste, you should probably own. I should probably own this in one shape or form, and $50 kind of a lot for a modern game, but I think that this game's going to hold the test of time. And
this is one of the modern day indie darlings. So
yeah. That's all I got on Celeste. Oh my gosh, 45 minutes. We gotta get this moving here.
Yeah, we're at game 23.
Mass Effect on the Xbox 360. This game is $6. It is $30 sealed. That actually might be true, but the game has a bunch of. It's probably got Platinum Hits variants. Maybe it's not true. Anyways, I said I wasn't gonna say that. Mass Effect, huge series. Huge trilogy of games. You should probably own them all, but obviously you should own the first one. They're all going to be $5.93, I'm sure. And from what the internet tells me, you can skip Andromeda.
Yep, and worth noting, PS3 only ever got the first game in the the complete edition with all three games. So if you want a singular release of Mass Effect, only way to get it is the 360.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite on the PS4. This game also released on Xbox One, but you don't need any Xbox One games on your shelf. For $98, you can get Fortnite on the PS4. This game has dropped. This is about half of what it used to be. This game was like $180, and I thought this was like some super rare game years ago. I thought this was like impossible to find, and I don't think it's super common, but it is absolutely like the way to own it physically. You know, they come out with all these digital copies these days, and you
Yeah, I
can get
believe
like,
this is the only this and the Xbox One version, the only one that was actually printed on a disc. Everything
yeah.
else is just a code in a box. So
And I think it has like the Fortnite Save the World on it or something, which was
which I
like
don't
a
think that mode exists anymore if you were to just play the
yeah,
free to play version. So
something like that. And so yeah, this thing's pretty collectible. If you haven't heard of Fortnite, it's maybe the most popular game on the planet, and you might want to own it. I don't own it. Do you own it?
no, but I like to imagine the one guy listening to this that's really into video games has somehow never heard of Fortnite. He's like, "Oh, I should check that out."
We only had, it was very hard to find anything under $100 in Pokemon, so I chose Gen 4, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, DS game, $67. I don't know. It's just a mainline Pokemon game, so it's automatically collectible. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, because I feel like actually Diamond and Pearl would be two of the least collectible mainline Pokemon games, but you're right, they're Pokemon, so we could give it a pass.
Streets of Rage 2, this is one of those ones where I'm going to say you don't need the first game on your shelf. No one's ever even heard of the first game. It's like Street Fighter 2. No, it's not quite that dramatic, but this is the one to have. This is the one that everybody loves and has the insane soundtrack, and it's just the best Streets of Rage. I say it a lot on this YouTube channel, but man, this might be the best beat 'em up ever because it's... I gotta stop going into detail. We're 46 minutes in. This is
It's okay.
this is
I ate dinner already. Take your time.
this is an incredible video game, and quite possibly the best console beat 'em up, I'll say. $68, and it's probably going to be missing a reg card or something important in there, so you might have to spend another $20. But I think you can definitely get this CIB for under $100, and it's one of the five. I'm going to say one of the top five most collectible on the Genesis. Maybe 10. Bomberman was a surprising one for me because I've always been a little curious about like the first Bomberman game. I always thought like, oh, it came to TurboGrafx first. It came to like MS-DOS or something weird first that wasn't like NES Bomberman. But this is actually the first Bomberman in North America. It was the NES one. I think it was 1989. And it's got a nice blue cover art, a box art, and it's under $100, and it's the first Bomberman game. Bomberman getting less relevant as time goes on. He tried celebrating his 33rd anniversary about 10 years ago, and nobody cared. But Bomberman has had a long run in the video game industry, and Konami probably going to keep him around for a while and keep trying to make some money off of him. You can get this game CIB on price charting for $92.
Cheaper than you would think.
FIFA International Soccer. This is the EA. We always talk about Madden, right? Like Madden on Genesis is the cool one to own because that's the original before, I mean, on consoles at least. I never really think or care about FIFA, and FIFA is actually a $12 CIB on the Genesis. Specifically, that Tom, whatever his name was from EA, was like really into the Genesis. I remember my history in my brain reminds me that he was big on Genesis, and this was a Genesis exclusive at first, just like Madden, or not Madden, but just like some other games from EA. And yeah, FIFA International Soccer is the first FIFA. It's the same FIFA that you still know today, FIFA 2026 or whatever they're calling it. This is something I need on the shelf if it's not already over there for $12.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, Genesis really was the sports console. So
Yeah, it was. $114 sealed on price charting. And then we move on to the NES. I had to think about this one a little bit. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The first game is surprisingly only $75. CIB, obviously. There's a lot of Ninja Turtles games, and at this point, Ninja Turtles might almost be more of a video game franchise than like any other media. You know, they started as a comic book and they had the huge, insanely popular TV show, but like, what do people know Ninja Turtles for these days? It might be like a Nickelodeon cartoon if you're like, I don't know, 10 years old, or it might be like that Ninja Turtles movie that came out a few years ago. But there's a ton of Ninja Turtles games. Shredder's Revenge was insanely popular, and I think they might even make it a sequel. I don't remember. Um, I think that basically what I'm trying to say is I think Ninja Turtles has a stay and like it has some power in the video game space enough for the original game to be collectible.
Yeah, and you know they've pretty much never stopped making Ninja Turtles games. I think that there is a Ninja Turtle game on. You know, there's been Ninja Turtle games released on every console generation ever since its inception. So it's had staying power in video games even more than cartoons and movies and comics and everything else. So interesting how the medium it didn't begin as is one that has kind of stayed relevant in all over the years.
Yeah. This was also the era, you know, like this was the era where that insanely popular original cartoon was happening when this game came out. And yeah, I think it's collectible. I think it sold a ton.
Yes, it did.
Double Dragon, another hugely popular game on the NES. Only $85 somehow, CIB. Again, they sold a ton. That's why it's so cheap. But yeah, this is one that we should all probably own. It's just kind of the NES beat 'em up, I think. More than any other franchise, I think Double Dragon is probably the beat 'em up of this era. Maybe until Streets of Rage.
I feel like everyone knows Double Dragon, but no one really cares about Double Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be me, actually.
Same.
Let's talk about the only Saturn game on my list. We have, for $85, you can get yourself a, oh no, that's Double Dragon. $45, you get yourself a copy of Daytona USA. And I wanted to make sure to look at the jewel case and see if that one was, because this game was a pack-in with the Saturn, but there was also the jewel case long box. I wanted to make sure that was under $100, and it is about $45. This is a really, like, I'm going to say one of the most, like, important games on the Saturn, because there weren't a lot of, like, games that maybe everyone played. I think everyone who had a Saturn probably played Daytona. You know, nowadays it's obviously an RPG machine, and it's got all these crazy, cool, expensive games that nobody got to experience back in the day. But, like, back in the day, what were you playing? You were probably playing Daytona. And this is another one where it's like the arcade is the way to play it, but this is the next best thing for us console collectors.
Indeed.
Feel good about that one?
Yeah, I think so. I think that like Forza, you know, there's not a lot of racing games that probably would fall into the collectible category, but those two, and I guess spoiler alert, no Gran Turismo, but Gran Turismo is honestly less interesting than Daytona or Forza. So
yeah, it was another one I really didn't want to put on this list.
no, I think Daytona's a good pick.
No, I mean Gran Turismo was one I didn't want to put on the list, but probably Gran Turismo definitely more collectible than Forza Motorsport.
It's fine.
We got Portal 2 is obviously one of those, like, it's going to be on everybody's top 10 list if you've played it, apparently. I haven't played it. It's one of those games that's incredible, and everybody, it's just unanimous love, and for that reason, it's on this list. It's $8.43 on the freaking Xbox 360, and you can get this game on PC. I did some quick research. I don't think this was the era of, I mean, I know this wasn't the era of PC big boxes. It's like 2007 at this point, so I don't think there's anything like insanely hard to find about the PC version if you'd rather have the PC version. But it is worth noting that the Xbox 360 and PC releases came out on the same day, and the PS3 port. So they're all like day one first. What am I trying to say? They're all first. They're all I'm talking too fast out here. They are all of the first print. That's what I'm trying to say. And so it doesn't matter to me which one you get. I kind of feel like this is a PC video game just because it's Valve. It's Portal. It just, like, in my mind feels like a PC game. And if that's something you're interested in, the DVD case is dirt cheap. You know, I'm talking $10, $15 tops. So yeah, Portal 2.
It's a good one.
22 bucks
Yeah, it's a
sealed on
shame that there's no
360.
way to really do Portal 1 because it was only ever part of the orange box, and it's like we're not putting a compilation on a collectible game list. Let's be real.
I would put it on there, but I don't think that it is more important than Portal 2. I think this is the one.
Interesting.
Just from what I've heard, right? Because I don't have enough experience, but it sounds like Portal 2 is like Portal 1 was like it was great. It did a lot, but Portal 2 was like, holy crap, this is insane.
They're both great, so can't really disagree with you much there.
The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. I actually don't have anything to say about this one. I just know that it is like the most popular, the most ported game of all time, and everybody under the sun, except for me, has played Skyrim. And it's $850 CIB on 360. It's $16 sealed. Why did you not want to put this on the list?
Um, Honestly, not for any particular reason, just because I feel like it's not a super interesting pick, but it is a valid pick. I feel like when people think of open world games, they think of Skyrim. People have been trying to chase the success of Skyrim ever since it came out, including Bethesda. um, and it's obviously it's one of those games that even people that aren't into video games know of, right? And I think that says enough about it too. It's like it broke the containment of the medium that is a part of, like, people just know what Skyrim is. So, and it's
Yeah.
kind of been that way ever since it came out. I remember pretty much as soon as it came out, it took the entire world by storm, and it's never really stopped. It never waned in popularity. People, still care about it and love it to this very day. It never really had. There was never a lull in Skyrim. I think people like to
Yeah.
meme on it because it's been ported to everything. And again, like I was talking about Fallout 3, a lot of revisionist history where everybody hates Skyrim now, but Skyrim is still very beloved, very fun. And there's a reason why it's had such staying power. So
Yeah. I think everybody should own it. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. We're taking it way back to Atari 2600, boys.
yes, we are.
$40. I need this on the shelf. This is the game. Even if it's not like the reason the video game industry crashed, this is the game that
It's the
crashed the
culprit.
industry. Yeah.
This is the game associated with the crash, so lots and lots of historical relevance.
Yeah. And then not to
People
mention,
buy graded copies that came out of the landfill,
as they should.
as they should. Exactly. Enough said.
I would love a graded, dirty, messed up copy from the landfill on my shelf.
Me too. Oh my god, I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
Speaking of landfills, we got Pitfall on the Atari 2600 here.
Good
35
segue.
bucks. Thanks. This was like the Atari game that, I mean, it's the platformer that led to a lot of other platformers, and it's not a port of an arcade game to the best of my knowledge, right? So this is like a game made for the console, and this is like insanely important and huge game on the Atari.
Indeed. No notes.
Need for Speed. You laughed at the fact that there's a 3DO game on the list. This is the first Need for Speed game, and it was like a year or multiple years before it ever came to PS1. I believe, again, that Tom guy from EA was really into the 3DO, just like he was the Genesis.
He sure knew how to pick them.
I think I think he supported the 3DO a lot, if I remember correctly, or maybe he was a part of the 3DO's existence. I don't remember the story, but Need for Speed, obviously huge, important series, one of the most popular racing games of the last 40 years, and yeah, Need for Speed on 3DO is only $50 somehow. I would have to assume that does not include the big box. Like, it's kind of like a TurboGrafx situation, right? They have the big box and the CD case.
Yeah, 3DO games are fascinating. They have like the big long cardboard boxes, but then there's a CD jewel case on the inside. Very strange.
I want to say that I did check beforehand on eBay, and $50 does sound right. So we're gonna leave it on this list and be confident about it. But yeah, that would be a really cool one to have. I would like to have a 3DO game, especially an important one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the... I think the first Naughty Dog game was also a 3DO game. I think it was
Oh
like
wow.
Warrior Within or some sort of weird fighting game. So there's a couple of notable things under the 3DO, but honestly, not much. And if you're going to pick one, Need for Speed is probably the one. So
That would be neat. I want to look into the Naughty Dog one.
I'll look it up while you start talking about your next one.
I think that Superman is insanely important. This game is like 1979, I believe, 1978, and it's Atari 2600. It's only $40, and it's the first DC video game. It's the first superhero video game. So I'm not just throwing every first of anything on this list, but I do think that the first superhero video game opened the door for obviously probably hundreds of other superhero games, if I had to guess, because we know there's at least 100 Spider-Man games out there. But yeah, Superman on Atari 2600 opened the door, and if you want it for $40, it's pretty cheap.
I apologize.
I can keep talking.
That was the second console game from 3DO, or from Naughty Dog, was Way of the Warrior on 3DO, but it was a fighting game. For their first console game was Rings of Power for the Genesis.
Interesting.
So now you know.
Superman on Atari, go buy it.
Yeah, why not?
Tekken on PS1 is a game that has, it's like Rayman in the sense that it had long box jewel case, long box cardboard case, black label jewel case, and greatest hits. It had one of each, and there's even a variant of the original jewel case long box. So
Crazy.
there's a lot going on for Tekken. I think of all the fighting games, like Tekken is like a step above maybe Soul Calibur. Like I feel like Tekken is pretty low on the popularity totem pole for fighting games, but it is still Tekken. They did just make Tekken 8, and the series exists. It is relevant. And for $90, I think it would look really good on the shelf, and it's historically important enough to be on the shelf.
I think it's definitely the big three, right? You know, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, probably. So
Yeah, I guess you're right.
it's a big one. I think you're underselling it a little bit. I think that's a very collectible one.
Heck yeah, go get that $90 Tekken, boys. Monster Hunter. This series is surprisingly like a top... It's like top 20 or something. It's like some really insanely high number for like best-selling video game franchises. Maybe that's a little high, but it is in the top 50 or top 40, and it's $20 for the PS2 game CIB. It's $34 all day because there's new old stock of this for whatever reason. I'm gonna assume it sold way more in Japan and still sells way more in Japan. I mean, in recent years, right, it has been very popular in America, but the PS2, PSP era, it was probably way more popular in Japan, if I had to guess. And I think that it is, because of how well it has sold, you know, I think it is worth owning the original game. What are you looking
I
at?
agree. Sorry, the reason I got quiet was because I didn't realize we put it on. We both. That's the one game that we both put on our list, so I had to find a new game real quick.
Oh, dang it.
No, I also thought that Monster Hunter was a great pick. Besides Resident Evil, I think Resident Evil, Street Fighter, and Monster Hunter are like the best-selling Capcom franchises, and for a while at least, Monster Hunter World was like the most successful Capcom game of all time. The series is very interesting, has a very beloved hardcore fan base, and people can't get enough of it. It shocks me how cheap it is to get that game brand new. I was shocked when I saw how cheap it was, honestly. That was one of those ones where, because sometimes when you look at some, of these, like, very, as we say, collectible, historical, relevant, whatever, it's like, CIB it'll be like $40, and then like new it'll be like $2,000. That was one of the ones I expected it to be like that, but it was not.
Yeah, I don't know anybody. I feel like no one was playing it in the PS2 era, but I don't know if that's true.
I didn't know I didn't hear about it until we got to like it started coming out on the 3DS, like 3 Ultimate and things like that. That's when it seemed like it started to really pick up. But the series was always very big, especially in Japan. For a long time, it was like a PSP series, so it was more relevant on handhelds. But now it's just one of the biggest franchises in gaming.
There's a little game on the DS that you may have heard of. It is freaking called Brain Age. Train your brain in minutes a day. This I really debated putting this on the list, but man, it sold more than Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It's specifically the first game sold more than Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, Black and White, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. This game had some staying power. The sequel sold more than Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I mean, combined between the two games, we're talking freaking 30 million copies. This is an insanely popular game. It had to make the list, and it's $9, guys. It's $10 for a sealed copy of Brain Age. You know, the DS was a DS staple. You know, I think even the hardcore gamers were probably playing a little bit of Brain Age. It was the game to have, and the commercials for it were everywhere. I don't know. I think this has to be on my list.
No, I agree. I believe that this is one of, the games that you could kind of say is the reason like casual video games became a big thing, especially in that era. The whole touch generation thing. I mean, I had an 80-year-old grandma with a DS, and the only game she had for it was Brain Age because she actually would play it every day to like try to keep her mind active. So this is another one of those games that kind of broke out of gamer containment, so to say, where it's like kind of everybody knew about it. And a lot of people give a lot of crap to like the casualness of some of the games from the DS and Wii era, but I think that as a whole that kind of helped keep the video game industry healthy during that period, especially when the economy sucked, because it just had more people interested in video games, because that wasn't all shooters and Pokemon. So
yeah, go get a sealed copy. There's also, if you're interested, if you're like some Brain Age super fan, a little fun fact for you, since this is gonna be like a 4-hour episode. The Brain Age has like a GDC conference variant where Miyamoto was at GDC and they handed out a bunch of Brain Age copies to the attendees, I think, and there's like a freaking insert in there. There's like something really cool about it that I think it has like a letter from Miyamoto or something. There's like something really cool about it. Definitely not $10. But also not insanely expensive. I think you can get a copy if you keep your eyes peeled. NBA Jam. I think this game, I think I looked it up, and this one actually came out on Super Nintendo first. And so that's why I put Super... Or no, they were the same, but for some reason, I just went with the cardboard one. So SNES and Genesis, this game released alongside each other. But this one's $50 on Super Nintendo. If you'd rather have it on Genesis, just get it CIB with all the inserts. NBA Jam, kind of a very important game from the 90s. I feel like it was insanely popular in the arcades, but it was also a big one on the home console. Anybody that like you come across that's like, I don't know, not into retro gaming in 2026, but like grew up with video games in the 90s is like, dude, I used to love just tearing it up on NBA Jam with my little brother. Like, this is one of those peak nostalgia games, and I feel like it belongs on this list.
Kind of in that same category as like the Def Jam games we were talking about last month, where there's a very large audience of people that love this game, even if they are not gamers, so to say.
Absolutely. Most modern game for me, Horizon Zero Dawn on the PS4. Really what, obviously it sold insanely well. It's very big on PS4, but really what kind of kept it on this list for me was the fact that it got the sequel, and it looks like it's going to be a recurring PlayStation franchise. It's got, I think, a VR sequel or spinoff or whatever, and then also the freaking Lego thing. Like, they liked it enough to team up with Lego and do a spinoff with them. Like, it's kind of branching out a little bit. It seems like it's here to stay. I think the first Horizon Zero Dawn belongs on this list. It's $10.
Agreed. Definitely one of the bigger Goliaths of modern day gaming. So, and whether people like it or not, Sony loves this franchise, so it ain't going away anytime soon.
On the PC, this game was only released physically on PC. Braid, a platformer from Mr. Jonathan Blow, $12 CIB game, and
On
it
PC?
is
That's crazy.
yeah, it is post big box era. So once again, you're gonna get a DVD case. You can get this game sealed literally any day of the week. There's new old stock for $23. It's not going to be impressive on your shelf. I think as time goes on, people forget about Braid. I barely know about Braid myself, but Braid was kind of a hugely important indie game before we had like eShops and stuff. I believe that's all true, but like Braid, pretty big indie game before we had all these modern conveniences. And yeah, it's. I guess that's all I have to say. It's $12.
Yeah, it's a bit of an earlier indie hit, right? So I guess it's kind of interesting for that aspect. I think I have to give you a little bit of flack for this one. I don't know if it deserves to be on the list, but it's okay.
Fair enough. Assassin's Creed. Surprising how freaking high this is up on the list of like best-selling video game franchises of all time, because I don't feel like I know anyone that even plays them anymore, but they are constantly coming out with new games, and they are probably selling at least 1 million units every single time, just because that's how it is. But Xbox 360, $8 for the first game, $40 for a sealed copy. I think a CIB is absolutely worth being on your shelf. This is, I don't even know how important it is. What did it do for the hobby? I have no idea.
Just a relevant franchise. Again, it was a big hit,
Yeah.
Had a big Hollywood movie made after it. Kind of, started the trend. A lot of, people, when they talk about, like, the big open world map with a bunch of just, like, little random doodads of things to do, using towers to unlock more areas of the map. A lot of that kind of stuff we know in a lot of modern open world games started with the Assassin's Creed franchise. So
Good stuff. That's why you're here.
wouldn't have Breath of the Wild without Assassin's Creed.
Dang. Ikaruga on the GameCube.
All right. I'm mad at you for this one. This should not be on the list. Didn't even come out on the GameCube first. This is a Dreamcast game.
This is the first time America saw it. I think shmup-wise, this is one of the shmup games. You got Radiant Silvergun, which we didn't get here. We got Ikaruga, and we didn't get the Dreamcast version here.
You still could have put the Dreamcast version.
You're
We
so
didn't say
right.
no imports.
If that's under $100, I'm replacing that with that. All right,
I'll check right now. Keep talking.
Ikaruga is one of the shmups, and for $57 on GameCube, that's the only way you could get it in North America physically until modern day. But it's a Treasuresoft game, and I guess that's all I have to say about it. It's
on Japanese Dreamcast, 9314.
Yeah, definitely get the Japanese copy for your collection if you can get it for under $100.
Yeah, I'll give you a pass if you're officially changing it to Dreamcast.
You think it's collectible enough for the list?
If it's the Dreamcast version, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's up there with, like, in terms of, like, Radiant Silvergun and, like, a lot of these other ones in terms of, like, the shmups that people think of. So
the only other Japanese title.
That's true. I think we have 2 more Japanese titles on here. So
the only other one I put is Kingsfield, and the Kingsfield we got here in North America is a worthless piece of trash. You don't need that. Kingsfield in Japan, though.
Whoa.
What?
That's crazy.
It's a
PlayStation.
PlayStation.
That seemed harsh.
It's a PlayStation exclusive, and it is specifically the very first game that FromSoft released. This is $60 apparently, and around $100 sealed. If you care about FromSoft, if you care about Dark Souls, if you care about Elden Ring, this is a hugely important game. Um, I guess I don't know anything about this game, actually, the gameplay wise, but I can tell you that this developer is hugely important, and it is very fun to go and collect the first game from a developer, and that's why it's on this list.
Yeah, I think this is a good pick. And if you're a fan of like the Souls games, you'll see a lot of Kingsfield DNA in those games. If you go back and look at Kingsfield, it's definitely worth looking into if you're a big FromSoft fan.
Only a few more here for me. We got NBA 2K. We can just like skip right over it, but it's essentially the same situation as the WWF series I told you about. So this one was, this one was Sega, right? So the WWE was THQ. The NBA 2K series was Sega developed, or not developed, but it was definitely published. And the first game is on the Dreamcast, and it's only $11. I probably have it without even knowing it, and it's kind of collectible because it is insanely popular today, and it is technically the same series. It was inherited by 2K, and that's just a little fact I didn't know, so it makes this
No,
list.
I didn't know that either, so that's interesting. Okay,
It's pretty cool. Mario Tennis almost didn't make the cut, and
but
you can
the first
attack
appearance
me.
of Waluigi.
That's literally what did it. This game is the first appearance of Waluigi, and it's also kind of important for bringing back Birdo and Daisy into the spotlight. But yeah, it's also the first Mario Tennis. If there was any other bullet point there, that's the other thing. But
Was this the first Mario Sports spin-off game?
I mean, we had Golf on NES, which wasn't really Mario Golf. It was golf, but Mario was in it. I'm gonna say probably not. There was like Mario Golf on N64 probably came first. Yeah, it's $89 CIB. You're probably going to need some inserts to knock up the price a little bit higher on that one. But yeah, if any of those things I just listed don't matter to you, then maybe skip this one. Also, it's Nintendo Cardboard.
There you go. The cheat code, Nintendo Cardboard. It gets a pass.
All right. And Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. You had a lot of positives to say about this one during our Castlevania collectability video.
Yeah, go on.
This game is $87 somehow. I just feel like anything with Castlevania in the title that's cardboard and is like this old, it's kind of insane that it's this cheap. And you gotta worry about variants a little bit, but this is on my list because it is Castlevania and it's on the NES. Like, it's not because it changed the game and it fixed how we see. It didn't do anything specifically historically important. It's just another Castlevania game, and that's why it's on my list. But I don't know. Maybe this one is not deserving. I mean, obviously it's collectible, but it's not super historically important.
Yeah, I don't know if this should be on the list. I was laughing at it a little bit earlier, I think, before we started. Just because I'm like, of all the Castlevanias, this might be one of the least collectible ones.
Man.
In terms of like the cardboard ones. But it is, it's an NES2 game. The NES2s are kind of interesting and infamous because so many of them are weird and different because they didn't know what a video game sequel was supposed to be back then, yada, yada, yada. You've all watched video game history videos, I'm sure. But it's an interesting pick, and it's Castlevania, so and it's Nintendo Cardboard, so it's all right.
And that's 49 games from Christian.
I hope you packed a lunch because we got 50 to go from Craig.
Wait till you see what the total CIB value is at the end of this. You guys are gonna just want to go out and buy everything at once.
You're gonna see what your limit on your credit card is, and then you're gonna go nuts on eBay.
And then you're just going to have a quality over quantity collection thanks to the collective perspective.
That's what we're here for, baby. Number 1 for me, so number 50 overall, we got John Madden Football on the Genesis. Only $29.19 CIB per price charting. This was the first Madden game to be on a home console. So this is an obvious pick in my opinion. Obviously Madden, one of the biggest franchises of all time. NFL, football, John Madden, all that jazz.
I couldn't do it on my list. I know that the Apple II one is the one to have, and you're right. It is the first one for a home console, so it has that going for it. I think it's worthy of the list.
Thank you. was about to get mad because I thought you were about to disagree with me. Next up, Crash Bandicoot, another Naughty Dog game. We got a lot of Naughty Dog on this list for the PS1. $65 for a nice CIB Black Label. One of the mascot platformers in the 90s. It came back in more recent years and was a big success. Everybody loves Crash Bandicoot, and I think it's obvious to say if you were to make a PS1 Mount Rushmore, Crash Bandicoot would definitely be on there.
The only thing I'm going to say, like this is 100% on the list, but I'm going to say maybe buy it soon because it seems to be nonstop going up right now. It shouldn't be 65. Well, I guess it should be $65, but yeah, we've talked about it recently. This game's gone up quite a freaking bit.
Yeah, it's one to definitely keep an eye out on. Seems to be a sleeper hit. But still cheap, Black Label, also on the Mount Rushmore with Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. Another one of the ones everybody thinks of when they think of the PlayStation 1. Also interesting, because this was made by Insomniac, obviously one of the biggest, most relevant first-party PlayStation studios now, but back then they weren't a first-party studio, so kind of interesting.
How are we picking and choosing that like Crash is $65 but Spyro's still $20? What the heck's going on there?
Isn't that strange? Because it's like you can't even make the argument, of like the remaster because they both got basically the exact same treatment of a trilogy remaster on the last generation of consoles. It's very interesting that I'm always shocked that's the Spyro games because I think all three of the Spyro games are like $20. They're all cheap, so you can get the Spyro trilogy for like $60.
You literally can't buy Crash on PS1 without buying Spyro on PS1. It's bread and butter right there, man.
Exactly. They go together for sure. Next up, the obvious Genesis pick, Sonic the Hedgehog. $26.28 for a CIB. That is most likely going to be mostly based off the not for resale version, which is way more common because it came packed with a bunch of Genesises. Or Genocide, whatever the plural would be. But there is a not for resale Sonic the Hedgehog that is definitely not, rare by any means, but definitely more uncommon because most people got their Sonic bundled in. So I would suggest going for the not for resale version if you could find it, because I don't know how much people care about the price differentiation on that one.
You mean the not for resale one?
Yes, sorry, but yeah, I don't think we even need to discuss why Sonic is collectible. So
no, and the collector tip here is I've done research lately. The CIB, the first print, you're looking for a San Francisco address on the back of the box. I'm pretty sure is the first print.
Good to know. Keep that in mind, nerds. Next up, another PS1 game, Final Fantasy VII. I think that it's pretty safe to say that this is the Final Fantasy, right, Christian?
This is the Final Fantasy.
This is the Final Fantasy. Even more so than Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah.
Even though Final Fantasy 1 is cooler, but more expensive, so it can't be on this list. CIB, $40.87. This game has gone up and down in value a lot over the years. 40 is probably a sweet spot. Not that this is what this video is about, but probably a good time to buy it right now. Because I'm sure when part 3 of the remake trilogy comes out, this is going to have a spike again, so might as well get it now, just in case the prices don't come back down.
I imagine this game's got to be, down the road more expensive. I know it's sold millions and millions, but it's a little bit fragile being a double-ended jewel case or whatever, a double-sized jewel case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think there's any wrong time to buy this game. This is needs to be on everybody's shelf.
Agreed. And there's also multiple variants for that one as well, so definitely do your research if you care about which print you want. Next up is Panzer Dragoon for the Sega Saturn. That is $85.81 CIB. This is a famous or infamous first-party Sega franchise. It's only gotten a handful of entries, but talk about one of the most hardcore fan bases for like a niche or a game series. Panzer Dragoon is definitely up there.
I don't think this game's collectible.
Why not?
Why?
Why isn't it collectible?
I don't think anybody knows what Panzer Dragoon is. I don't think that it has any relevance in the modern day. I don't think it had relevance in the 90s. I don't think Panzer Dragoon is... I don't think it's done anything for the industry. I don't know, man.
I think that if you are a hardcore Sega person, this franchise probably means something to you. So it's a bit more of a niche pick, but I think that, it's like if you're talking to like hardcore Sega fans, they're going to be all about Panzer Dragoon and Knights and Space Channel 5 and Choo Choo Rocket and all that. So I think maybe not in the grand scheme of things you could say it's the most collectible game, but I think that if you're talking to someone that's a Sega collector and they're a Sega fan, they're going to care about Panzer Dragoon. So
That's true.
all right,
There's
next
not.
up, we got.
I'll also add that there's not much like collectible. I mean, there's so many cool RPGs to buy on Saturn, but like this is probably one of the staples, I guess.
Yeah,
like
the
we were
Saturn.
talking about Echo. But yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's a Saturn staple, up there with like Knights and Daytona, like we were talking about, or maybe Virtua Fighter even. So it's like this is one of the games most heavily associated with that console.
Yeah.
And it's kind of relevant now. They remade it. They're remaking the second one, so they're having a slight revival for the series, even if it's not going over well with the fans.
That's true.
Big one for the PS3, Demon Souls, $30 CIB, sealed 5351. Everybody loves their Souls games and their Souls likes. It all started at Demon Souls.
Yeah, I want this on the shelf. That's a huge one that I mean, I would love to have that. That's a big collectible game right there.
It's also so fun to me that Sony didn't want to publish this in North America because they thought it would fail, so Atlas published it in North America, so this is an Atlas published title, only in America. I always thought that was so strange and weird.
That almost adds to the coolness of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that Demon Souls is probably one of the most collectible games of all time. If you're going to talk about relevance to gaming as a whole, that's definitely up there.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Next up, we got Minecraft on the Xbox 360. Only $16.49 CIB, sealed $64.55. I'm sure that heavily depends on the print run. But Minecraft, obviously, the best-selling game of all time. Started out, on PC, but when it came to console, it was all about that 360. They started porting it other places elsewhere, but started out just on the 360 when it came to console. I don't think that there's too much explaining needed for Minecraft.
I just wish there was a better way to collect it because this feels far removed from the thing. It's like probably a decade after Minecraft came out, and it's like I wish there was a PC
Only a few
version
years
to buy. But,
I believe the alpha of Minecraft was 2009, and the 360 version I think was 2011. So it's not too far removed, especially if you don't consider the alpha's not technically the full release yet and all that jazz.
Yeah, I think it's probably a very collectible. I guess it's the way to buy it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're gonna have a physical copy on the shelf.
Yeah.
Next up, big one, Dragon Warrior on the NES for $69.35 CIB. I'm shocked that this game isn't way more expensive. I think it definitely depends on which print run or variant you have of the game. But Dragon Warrior, pretty much, the godfather of Japanese role-playing games. And pretty much just for that reason alone, I think that it makes it an extremely collectible game.
This is like the most common game on the console, I feel like, even more than Mario Duck Hunt. Like,
well, they gave away. I think it was like a thing back in the day, and the comments can correct me, where it was like, they basically like gave it away in Nintendo Power, like you could send in a thing in the mail and get a copy.
Oh wow.
So that's why, especially the cartridge, there's just so many out there. But like I said, the price definitely heavily depends on the version you have. So, but it's a really cool game, and if you're a big old dork like me and you love JRPGs, this is a no-brainer to have on your shelf.
I didn't know it was that important. I just don't know anything about this game.
You don't know about Dragon Quest?
No, for sure haven't. But I was about my next question was going to be: is this part of the Dragon Quest series?
Yes, this is the first Dragon Quest game. So they called it Dragon Warrior when they localized it here because of some sort of copyright thing, and they didn't start calling it Dragon Quest until 8 on the PS2.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So predates Final Fantasy and all that jazz. So very important.
Hmm.
Next up, Mortal Kombat on the Genesis. We talked about it a little bit earlier when we were talking about Street Fighter 2. Only $25 CIB. I know this one has a lot of little inserts you can get included with it, but this is the version of one of the biggest fighting game series of all time. So
Led to the rating system. Very important game. I just got my copy.
that and Night Trap, right? Those were the two.
Yeah.
Next up, I was surprised that this is still very cheap, and that is the original Star Fox on Super Nintendo. $71.89 for a CIB copy. You know, kind of one of the original rail shooters. I want to say beloved Nintendo franchise, but I think it really just depends on who you ask. You know, for the time, the tech was incredible. And you know, another one of Miyamoto's babies, so it seems. So
It's a Panzer Dragoon-like.
yes, that's what we're calling it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not more expensive as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that's a big one to be only $71.89. So I would pick that up if I were you, listener, or me that doesn't own it yet. Next up, F-Zero on the Super Nintendo, also very cheap, $64.96. I've seen this game, all of my collecting career. I feel like every game store I go to has a CIB copy of F-Zero for some reason.
Yeah.
They just printed a lot of these. But again, in the same vein as Star Fox, you know, kind of a waning series, but very beloved by hardcore fans. Had a lot of entries on most Nintendo consoles, and you know, one of the more unique and standout racing games that you can own.
And it was a launch title.
That is true. Good point. I didn't even think about that.
Was Pilot Wings a launch title?
I know it was for the N64. I'm not sure about the Super.
Something almost made me put Pilot Wings on here, and I was like, what am I doing? No, I don't care about Pilot Wings.
I'm glad you didn't. I would have judged that one. Next one, also a no-brainer, Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy, $82.50 CIB. I am shocked at how cheap that game is for being the very first Kirby game. This was before our homeboy was even the color pink. So, yeah, this is an easy one for very collectible and under $100. I shocked the last three all in a row. Just shocked that those games are sub triple digits.
Yeah, so for the variants, keep an eye out on the tab on inside of the box. It's either going to say USA or USA-1, and you don't want the -1. And also worth noting, Kirby's Adventure, not the first game on NES, but it is also under $100.
Sure.
But yeah,
why don't you
definitely
want the
get this
USA-1?
Because it's a later print piece of trash garbage, that's why.
I want you to go through all your games and tell me how many first prints you actually have.
I specifically sought out a USA Kirby's Dream Land. I don't even know if that's true. I might have got the USA-1. We'll find out.
We'll find out next episode. Next up, this is one for sure I think that you're going to question me on, so I'm going to have to sell it. But Persona 4 Golden on the Vita. Not even Persona 4 on the PS2 or Persona 3 or any of the other Personas. Persona 4 Golden on the Vita specifically. $25 CIB, sealed $47.76. This is the reason that people bought a PlayStation Vita. People bought a Vita Persona 4 Golden. This game practically sold a console on its own. This is the Persona game that made Persona start to become mainstream. It is the definitive version of the game. It has way more content, so people prefer to play this version. This game has since been ported to everything, but because of its legacy with the Vita, I think that everybody now and forever views it as a Vita game. And it's like, you cannot think of the Vita without thinking of Persona 4 Golden.
I mean, that sells me on it, especially the part where you said that it's kind of the reason Persona is so popular now.
I think that, I think that it sounds like a weird choice because it's not the original version of the game.
Yeah.
But all the other weird factors surrounding it, I think, makes it the Persona game that's probably the most relevant to own, besides, like, Persona 1, which is, as of right now, the most expensive PS1 game, not including variants, which is insane. So,
$25 is crazy. That's a good one.
$25? Yeah, that was another one. It blew up when the Vita store was getting shut down, and is absolutely plummeted. And now
Wow.
it's ported to PS4, Xbox, Switch, so probably gonna stay cheap forever. So that's a good one to get. If you're looking to start your Vita collection, there's a 100-hour game to keep you busy for a while.
That's awesome.
Next up, we got Halo Combat Evolved on the original Xbox for $14.54 or $72 sealed. Obviously with all the caveats we've been saying about sealed games, this is another one that I think goes without saying. There are PC versions of this game as well, but no one thinks of the PC versions. Everyone thinks of this and knows of this game as an Xbox game.
Please buy this. This is like top 25 most important. Like, you should have this on your shelf.
Yeah, I think and maybe even top 10 just most relevant video games of all time, right? So this is a must own, and it's so cheap, so cheap. Next up, we got God of War on the PS2. Similar thing. As we talked about earlier, this and Ratchet and Clank are pretty much the only two Sony franchises that once they started, they have not stopped. So they're important to Sony. They're important to people that play them. People love these games. David Jaffe, the creator, also created Twisted Metal. So if you care about, specific developers, he's a more notable and well-known one on the Western side of game development. CIB 1705, sealed value $39.22, so still very cheap to get this game sealed.
Get yourself Black Label God of War.
Get it. Next up, Tomb Raider, PS1 1411. Tomb Raider took the entire world by storm for many years. Couldn't tell you why. Game sucks, but people love Lara Croft and people love Tomb Raider. So I think it was very unique for its time. Nothing quite like it, and really, there's not really any other games like Tomb Raider in that, even from its own era, just very unique. So I think these games stuck and resonated with people. We got the TV show coming out soon. So I think that you could see this one maybe climbing in price a little bit. Might be a good time to get it now. It's only $14.11.
Yeah, it's absolutely collectible. I wonder if, like, in 15 years, if we're going to be looking at Tomb Raider as, like, a collectible game. It's just, like, Tomb Raider's getting less relevant, I feel like. I know you just mentioned the TV show. I don't know. I don't feel like it's been the most relevant series as of late.
It's kind of, it's stayed around in some way, shape, or form, whether the game's been successful or not, but Tomb Raider's kind of always been floating around. It's kind of like the game most associated, and created by Crystal Dynamics. They never really gave up on that game existing, so.
Yeah.
And Eidos and all that jazz. Whoever developed it, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think Crystal Dynamics might have been to the newer developers, so excuse my misinformation. But next up, another PS1 game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Only $14.99, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourself a copy of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. First game.
I feel like PS1's the way to own it, too.
No, yeah, I think that most people associate it with the PS1. The Dreamcast and 64, Game Boy Advance, N-Gage, all that fun stuff, but I think that most people think about this game, they think of the PS1.
You're going to have to sell me on the next one.
Soul Calibur. I have to sell you on Soul Calibur for the Dreamcast. One of the top 3 highest rated video games of all time on Metacritic. I'm not even kidding. This game was a huge deal. This was one of the reasons people bought a Dreamcast. It looked way ahead of its time. It played way ahead of its time. Excellent fighting game, not in the top pillars with, Tekken and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and all that, but, a fighting game series that's had staying power. The original Soul Calibur was never put on a console except for the Dreamcast. As far as I'm aware, I'm 99% sure about that. So I think that this is definitely, it was a launch title for the Dreamcast. I think it has a lot going for it, actually. I'm surprised that you don't think that it deserves to be on the list.
If everything you said is true, I'll allow it. What is Soul Blade? Isn't that the same series?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, you can keep going. I gotta look this up. It's a PS1 game.
Next up, Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo, $90.09. This game is awful and I hate it, but it's the first Mario Kart. Obviously one of the biggest series ever, even disassociating it from being related to Mario. So definitely a very collectible video game.
Yeah, everybody needs Super Mario Kart, and that's like insanely cheap. I feel like for what it is, that's kind of crazy.
between that and Star Fox and F-Zero, there's some very affordable, good Super Nintendo games. I got another one later down the list that I also assumed that would have been more than $100, but it isn't. So interesting.
Soul Blade,
Animal
real
Crossing.
quick,
Oh,
unrelated
yes.
to the episode. Soul Blade is a Namco fighting game with swords and stuff, and they somehow just decided that they were going to do that, and also Soul Calibur, right? That's also Namco. I don't know why those both exist, but whatever.
Good stuff. Quick water break. I am so thirsty. This is a long episode.
Craig, his next game is All right, it's not that long of a water break. I don't have to stall.
You're good. It's Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing on the GameCube. Between this and Harvest Moon, we would not have the cozy game genre that we have today without these two. I still think that the original Animal Crossing actually has the most charm, and I think that is the most interesting and fun to go back to out of all the Animal Crossings. And I think that, Animal Crossing is massive now compared to how it used to be, but I think that, Animal Crossing has had a really strong and dedicated fan base ever since the very first game. So, just an interesting one.
This is a very cool thing to own, especially with the freaking memory card bundled in. I think it's probably like top 15 on GameCube as far as like what you would want to own. I think it's a very cool collectible.
Yeah, and the franchise has only gotten bigger over the years, so Animal Crossing is massive now. This one, Christian questioned me on, but I have The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker for GameCube. 7716. Why did you question me on this?
He's saying because I brought up Zelda 2. I was surprised Zelda 2 is under $100. I asked if we should have that instead of the Wind Waker. He said no with a smiley face.
So, Wind Waker is open world Zelda before open world Zelda existed. I think that is enough of a reason, because I think that it helps set the groundwork for open world Zelda. Obviously, Toon Link is an icon of himself, even separated from regular Link and anything else Zelda. We got multiple games with the same art style and the same character design. That has not happened before with Zelda, minus Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, really. I think that that Wind Waker is a fan favorite by a lot of people. Most people don't like Zelda 2, even if it is, cool old Nintendo cardboard. Often considered one of the best Zelda games by majority of Zelda fans. And like I said, it's proto open world Zelda, and you want to talk about games that affected the landscape of gaming. I don't know if we would have gotten Breath of the Wild without Wind Waker, because Wind Waker, I think people undersell that it is kind of an open world game with all the exploration and openness of the sea and all that.
I think that's a very good argument, actually. I think before you said all that, I might have said Breath of the Wild would be on this list for me before Wind Waker. To be clear, any Zelda title definitely fits this list.
Yeah.
But
even crossbow training.
You got me thinking a little bit on Wind Waker. That was a good point. But I don't know. I'd have to think about it some more in terms of like which one I would have of the three. Zelda 2 obviously only would be on this list because it is old and cardboard. It's not like it's the thing, but yeah, some good contenders there. And you made some good points.
Next up, also on the GameCube. I got a lot of GameCube in a row, by the way, spoiler alert. Luigi's Mansion, 6318. First time our boy in green got his own franchise. Everything about it, the vibe of Luigi's Mansion is very popular amongst Nintendo fans. That people love this little mini series, and the first game is the most iconic of them all. So
it is the first.
Also,
game.
A launch title for the GameCube. It was kind of the pilot GameCube game, right? So
he stepped up while Mario was in development, so it's kind of famous for that.
Next up, Metroid Prime on the GameCube, only $25. You cannot beat that. What are you doing buying your silly little remastered on your Switch when you could be getting a GameCube copy for $25? One of the most iconic first-person shooters of all time. Took the formula of 2D Metroid, made it in 3D. Everybody loved it. This game's extremely critically acclaimed. And it's Metroid. So.
I have nothing to add. I think that game has like a 98 on Metacritic or something.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
stupid
believe
high.
it's $25. Dirt cheap.
It's also stupid high on Metacritic, critically acclaimed and helped change gaming forever, is Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. $45. Stars our boy, Leon S. Kennedy, who everybody loves. A lot of people's favorite Resident Evils of the year, they're 1, 2, 3, and 4. Resident Evil 4 pretty much created the formula of the over-the-shoulder action game that almost every AAA game has used for the last couple of decades now. Resident Evil is pretty much the reason for that. And like I said, it also has a lot of interesting history behind it, between, Devil May Cry was originally supposed to be RE4 and then all these different development things, and RE4 became its own thing, and it was supposed to be a GameCube exclusive, and then it wasn't, and now it's been ported to everything 1,000 times over the years, so it just has a lot of interesting history around it too. But probably the most critically acclaimed Resident Evil game, so...
I think that when I was making my list, I was going to add this if you didn't. This is the one for sure. And
yeah, I debated either RE4 or RE2, but I think Resident Evil 2 is more for like true fans of Resident Evil, and I think RE4 is one that most people would pick even if they're not Resident Evil fans.
And it's also notable that this was GameCube exclusive first. Yeah. And if you really want to spend more money, get that red steel tin. But
that beautiful red steel tin.
Great choice.
Next up, last GameCube one, I believe, on the list, we got Super Smash Bros. Melee. I think just for the competitive esports scene surrounding the game is enough of a reason to give it to it, not even the fact that it's Melee. But this is, this game has had a strong, healthy, and dedicated, competitive scene for, over 2 decades now. People still play it professionally. People still love it. People still turn up for it. And, it's like, there's so many, internet memes and cultures just based around this game. It's Melee is really, like, it's just, like, own world, and it's, like, everything about it, it also has a lot of interesting, development history. It was made in only 13 months. It's probably the most beloved game in the series, right behind Ultimate, because most people are going to say Ultimate nowadays. But it's, they took everything they learned from Smash 64 and made it even better. And this game has just had a lot of staying power over the years.
I think collectability-wise, I'm taking Melee over N64 probably.
Mm.
So
I think when people think of Smash Bros, they think of Melee first. So
obviously a great choice there.
Yep. Next up, hard to find a lot of good N64 for this list because most notable N64 games are over $100, but surprisingly, 007 GoldenEye, $79.
Yeah.
This is kind of the first-person shooter of the 90s, minus the Doom games. And that's pretty much all there's to say about it. It was just a huge hit, huge licensed game. And, had a lot of, weird, interesting licensing issues over the years, and it was a big deal when you were able to play this on modern consoles, so.
Yeah, this was also going to be on my list for sure.
Next up, Batman, the video game on NES. This game was developed by Sunsoft, very beloved, very early Batman game, as far as I know. I think it was the first Batman game, but I could be incorrect. Please let me know down below. I'm not remembering now, but $99.50, so just barely made the cut for being under $100. But beloved video game based off of one of the most popular IP of all time.
I think that one's a little bit of a stretch, but if it is the first Batman game, then fine.
Why is it a stretch?
It's just another NES licensed platformer. I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, Superman was just another licensed game for the Atari.
No, you were busy researching crap when I was talking about Superman. That is the
totally
first
true. I didn't hear shit. I didn't hear shit you said about that.
That is the first superhero video game. Period.
So Batman on NES was the first on a home console. How about that?
I don't know. That's a tough sell.
It's Sunsoft. People love Sunsoft.
It's Nintendo cardboard. That's all you had to say.
Well, I'm trying not to do the cop-out answer, all right? Next up, King's Knight. Do you have any idea why I would have put King's Knight on NES on this list?
I've never heard of this game, Craig.
King's Knight was the first game Squaresoft put out in North America.
All right, keep going.
It is $96.46. It is, like I said, the first game they put out in North America. It is a shmup, which is interesting. And it is also heavily, a high fantasy kind of aesthetic, which became Square Enix's holding for a very long time after that. So kind of led them into the direction they went with Final Fantasy.
It's kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
That's all you're getting from me on that one.
Does that have your approval, or are you going to argue?
I'm not going to argue. I don't know, man. I think those are some relative points. Those are some relevant points, rather. Those are, it's interesting.
Those are right. Nintendo cardboard points. Next up, we finally got to our plumber friend, Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES. Probably top 3 Mario games, depending on who you ask. Nintendo cardboard, 7738 for a CIB copy. Obviously, beloved, critically acclaimed, all that jazz. Mario 1 could not make the list because it's too expensive, and I definitely think that Mario Bros. 3 is more beloved and iconic than Mario Bros. 2. So,
yeah, and this is still just unbelievably cheap. Like, you can't get to Left Bros for $77, but my gosh, dude, you can get a nice, clean CIB Mario 3 for way cheaper than you should be able to in this day and age. This is such a good quality collectible that everyone should own. Amen.
Next up, another surprisingly cheap Super Nintendo game. We got Donkey Kong Country, 8464. This one I think also kind of goes without saying. The Donkey Kong Country trilogy is very much beloved by anybody and everybody. And this was the first one in the series. So
incredibly undervalued, I feel like.
It even has a weird box that's more green than black, so it sticks out on your shelf. We gotta love it. PS2 has Kingdom Hearts. $14.25. It's insanely cheap for how big video Kingdom Hearts is. The Disney relevance, Square Enix relevance, this game was doing crossovers before crossovers was the thing. Very beloved game and a long-running franchise. I think it really kind of boosted the popularity as well for action role-playing games instead of just like turn-based role-playing games from the Japanese front. So a big deal, big game, first in the franchise.
I imagine if it wasn't ported to every platform under the sun, it might be $80 or something, but probably going to be cheap for a long time. But everyone should have a nice black label on the shelf.
Yep, mine is signed by the composer, which is cool. Next up, I don't give a damn about this game, and I don't know almost anybody that does, but when you think of Xbox, one of the first games you think of is Fable. Fable is, very heavily tied to the Xbox brand and name. This game is very famous and very popular. It's only $11.08.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll check on it again in 10 years and see what people think, but I'm with you.
Maybe even by the end of the year when the new Fable comes out, maybe we'll see if there's a tick.
Yeah.
You never know. Next up, I got another Xbox game, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Probably the most critically acclaimed, most beloved Star Wars game of all time. This game is considered like one of the best CRPGs ever. I legitimately know more than 5 people in my real life that this is their favorite game of all time. So people just absolutely adore this game. It's also been ported to everything. Actually, I don't think it's been ported to everything. I think it's actually only been ported to Switch, which is weird, which is strange. But yeah, so it's only $13.86, very affordable. But back in the day, it was an Xbox exclusive, which made it pretty cool.
Was it Xbox and PC or just Xbox?
Oh, Xbox and PC.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I think most people associate it with the Xbox. Next up, we got some 2600 games. First up, we got Adventure for $59.99. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah.
It's the adventure game. It's literally adventure. Then we got Haunted House, the first horror game on a home console, which is fun. $24.42, insanely cheap for being the first horror game on a console. I think that's crazy cool. And sealed, you could get it for $81.25. So I think that's dope. I definitely want to get a copy of that, especially since I've started to finally get more into horror games recently.
I don't know much about Haunted House, but I approve. I would like to have that too now.
Next up, massive title, Metal Gear Solid on the PS1.
Heck
Only
yeah.
$50.69. This game is, pretty readily available now on modern platforms, but of course the PS1 version is always going to be the coolest version. This is the game that put Hideo Kojima on the map. Another example of a game made by a developer that you probably actually know the name of. So,
Yeah, this is more expensive than I thought this game was.
next up, indie darling Undertale. I went with the Vita version because this game originally launched physically. It was originally a PC game, and then they put it on PS4 and Vita, and then they put on everything else. But between the PS4 and the Vita, I think that obviously the Vita version is a bit more collectible and interesting. $62.70 for a CIB copy, sealed $70. Also worth noting, this game does come with a manual. Most Vita games did not come with a full manual, so kind of neat.
I guess it's kind of like Minecraft in that scenario. This is the best thing that you can physically buy.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight, originally, that game is on every console under the sun, but it originally launched on the Wii U and 3DS. I think that the 3DS is an inherently more collectible console than the Wii U, so I went with the 3DS. You can get for $36 CIB and $45.95 new.
I'd love to tell you that you're wrong, but I can't. The 3DS
No,
is
this is.
unfortunately
I feel like
the
this
one.
is. I feel like Celeste, Undertale, and Shovel Knight are the indie games. So it's like we got them all on here, and I think that they're all very deserving. Next up, the only Japanese game on my list, Mother 3, for the Game Boy Advance. You can get it for CIB $80. Now, I didn't just put this on here because it's my favorite game of all time. I actually put it on here because I think that this is the most famous non-localized video game of all time. This is the game that people have been clamoring for 2 decades now at this point. It came out in 2006. And this is like the most famous, Japanese exclusive game that I think, one of the most famous Japanese exclusive games to exist.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna argue with that one. That's a game that I would love to own, and it's maybe the most famous video game meme at this point. It's got a lot going for it.
Mm-hmm. Next up, another 3DS game. I got Fire Emblem Awakening for $35 CIB, sealed $45.95. I put Fire Emblem Awakening because this is the game that, probably the most popular game in the Fire Emblem franchise overall. This is the game that saved the franchise. Famously, this series was going to be shelved forever if this game wasn't successful, and it was so successful that people hate Fire Emblem now because we get so much of it. Especially in Smash Bros. But this is, kind of the poster child of the Fire Emblem franchise, I think. So I think that it's deserving to be on the list just solely based off of that.
Yeah, I'm good with all that. I couldn't have told you any of that before you said all that, but if that's all true, I'm good
So
with
I'm
that.
your co-host, baby.
I know it kills you to put this next one on here, though.
It does, because I fucking hate this game, and I got Golden Axe on the Genesis, $55.94. This is fascinating because this game, $55.94 CIB. If you want to get it new though, it's like over $1,000. It's so funny the disparity between new and CIB. Yeah, this is one of the most well known and most associated Genesis games. People love this game. I have no idea why. It sucks. It's terrible. The whole franchise is awful. But this is a staple Genesis game, so I think that deserves to be on the list.
It's Echo is what it is. It's just on the list because the staple. Again, in 10 years, I don't know. I know they're planning on making a bunch of Sega franchises come back from the dead, but man,
they could cancel the Golden Axe Revival. That's fine. Next up, we got Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast, $40.99 CIB, $75.78 new. This was, obviously a huge deal. Dreamcast was selling itself on its online features, and one of the biggest games they were trying to do that with was Phantasy Star Online, an MMO on your console. It's just really cool that it existed, really cool that it worked, and I think that it was another one of the selling points of the Dreamcast, so it deserves to be on the list.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't think I would have thought of that one.
Now, here's the dumbest entry on this list, but I totally stand by it, and that is Concord for the PS5. You can get it CIB 1725, sealed 24.99. Now, this is the biggest failure to ever come out of one of the major console manufacturing companies. And I think for that reason alone, it makes it collectible. This game was out for 2 weeks, and then it was pulled from shelves. It's crazy that they did that. It's crazy that this game reportedly cost like $600 million to make, and they just had to lose all of that money. Because it is the biggest flop from a first party ever, I think it deserves to be on the list.
It must be so hard to find a CIB. You know what I mean?
It's just all new copies.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it makes the cut. It's got a good story going. It's like the ET effect. You know?
Mm-hmm. It's historical. It's one of those things people are going to be talking about for years and years and years. I don't think people will forget Concord. Like, anytime a new game comes out and people think it's going to be a failure right away, they call it the next Concord. So it's gonna be relevant for not good reasons, which is
that's
insane.
so sad.
Next up, all three of these kind of go together, so I'm just gonna say them together. Xenoblade Chronicles 2588, CIB sealed 4106, The Last Story 6778, and sealed 99 112, and Pandora's Tower CIB $90.09. These three games just have a lot of cool history behind them. It was basically a fan campaign that got them localized to be released in North America, because that was not going to happen otherwise. So I think the fact that JRPG fans basically rallied Nintendo to get these games released stateside is fascinating and cool. And because these games were all kind of rallied together all at the same time, I think that they're kind of lumped together, and that they're all collectible because the only reason we even have them is because of a fan effort. So cool story behind them.
I can't believe Xenoblade is down to $26, dude. That's so crazy.
Yeah, that used to be a very expensive game. And then it got reprinted to all hell, and then once they started releasing it on 3DS and then eventually Switch, the Wii version just became the irrelevant kind of like worst way to play the game, so no one cares about it anymore. But it's extremely collectible, and that's also, a Nintendo game. So Xenoblade, especially of the three, is the most collectible, but I think all three of them you could make an argument that they're cool and worth owning.
I want to go get that quickly. That's now high on my to buy list. That's pretty cool that it's that cheap.
It is. Next up, Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure for the Xbox 360. Obviously, the Toys to Life craze was massive when it was massive. It is no longer massive, but we could thank that entire trend to this game. We have amiibos because of this game. And I think that is enough of a reason to consider it collectible. $10.99 CIB, sealed $20.
Is this
Pretty
the
cheap.
first one?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm on board with that. I mean,
There you go.
there's no way it's $11 with a figure, though, right? And it was probably
No, I'm
never
sure whatever
sold.
big box version was different, but if you just want, Game Case manual.
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
cheap.
the only reason I bring that up is because I didn't put any Guitar Hero on this list because I'm not going to tell you to go buy a DVD case Guitar Hero and make it collectible, but...
All right. Well, you know what? I had to replace Monster Hunter quick, and it came to mind.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, I didn't see this one earlier.
No, literally, when I saw you had Monster Hunter, I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I need to think of something else, and for some reason, Skylanders came to mind, and I'm like, yeah, that works.
That is a good one, though, and I bet it is under $100 with a big box, I imagine. That's a good
Probably.
call.
So it wasn't my first choice, but I don't think it's a bad choice. Next up, second to last, Little Big Planet on the PS3. This is probably the most heavily associated PS3 game, besides maybe Infamous or Resistance or something. First game of the franchise. Sackboy, the mascot of PlayStation for a little while. CIB $9.99 and sealed $29.99.
It is weird that he just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one.
And last game, number 99 on our list of 99 games for $99 or less. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne on the PS2. This game has been reprinted to all hell, so you can get it for very cheap. But this was the first mainline Shin Megami Tensei game that we got in North America. $21.46 CIB and sealed $25.
So we got Jack Bros, and then 20 years later we got this?
Well, no, because we got Personas and stuff too.
Oh,
But
okay.
those are all technically spin-offs. The first mainline Shin Megami Tensei game we got was the third one. So,
Gotcha.
yep.
That's very cheap.
And audience, you might be wondering, what if I maxed out my credit card tonight? What if I did it right now? I went on eBay, found all these games for exactly CIB price charting value. How much would it cost me? Well, for 99 games,
I'm glad you
it would
asked.
cost you $4,172.53. All
It's not
things
bad.
considered, that's not bad. I do not think that that's too bad for a list of 99 interesting, relevant, and mostly quality titles.
Does that average to $42 a game? That's kind of high. But
Well, when our limit's $99.
yeah, you know, from a 3DO game to 11 Xbox 360 games, you've got a good variety. I mean, if somebody walked into your room and they saw freaking Wii Sports and FIFA
And
International
Alex
Soccer,
Kidd in Miracle World.
we're not making fun of my Master System choice.
You know, I think someone would see your game collection and be like, huh. So maybe you don't take our advice.
I think this is a very quality list, minus a few scragglers.
It's a little sporadic, but
No, I mean, I don't know how many more I could have added because it took me forever just to get the 50 I did add, the 49 I did, but
like I said, if we did if we did more than one game per franchise, we could have easily quadrupled the list. So I think that it was a bit harder just based off of the limitations. But I think this is still a pretty solid list. I'm proud of this one. I think we did good.
It was a great episode, the longest episode to date, probably.
Yeah, you might as well put this on the Unlockable podcast.
I guess this is a good time to talk about episode 100. We are going to... The plan is to do a live streamed episode, and I'm not going to spoil it of the topic yet. I'm very excited to do the episode, though, and Craig is as well. It'll probably be long like this one if I had to guess, but we will be sharing the dates and like scheduling it in advance so everybody can try their best to attend it live. If you can't be there live, it will obviously be up on my YouTube channel after the live stream ends. But yeah, 100 episodes almost of Collective Perspective. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, you know, a little premature, but thank you all for watching for 100 episodes. That's crazy. Most web series don't last this long, so it's a good thing me and Christian can still stand one another.
I tell Craig all the time, I'm really proud of how this show has grown a lot, and you know, all the new viewers that come in and drop comments. I really appreciate you guys, but I guess we can save the sappy stuff for the next episode.
True. Although they must like us a little bit if they made it 2 hours and 10 minutes into this one. So
yeah, I guess you guys are gonna have to go back to working now or whatever you've been doing.
Look out, your boss is behind you.
We managed to get 6 Super Nintendo titles on this list. That's pretty crazy.
8 NES I think is pretty solid too.
Oh, absolutely.
Not
dang.
too shabby. One PS5 game, we could have bumped up the numbers there, but
Well, let us know what we missed, and let us know what you're going to go buy immediately now that we've inspired you to become a quality over quantity collector. Unlike us, set collectors.
nah, we're all about that straight garbo, dude.
Go subscribe to Craig's Game Room on YouTube. He's got a great podcast called Generations Behind over there. And we will see you later this month for episode 100.
Take care, y'all.